Some houses have history, some have secrets, and some refuse to let go of the past. What if I told you a house could destroy your mind, shatter your spirit, and bury its sins so deep that the city itself refuses to remember? I lived in such a house, and what I found there still haunts me to this day. This is my story. But be warned, once you hear it, you may never feel safe in your own home again. At 23, fresh from a broken marriage, I was desperate for a place to live. The only affordable option? A historic Victorian home in the west side of town. An area now drowning in crime, but once steeped in mystery. Its beauty was undeniable. Clawfoot bathtubs, ornate fireplaces, towering ceilings. Yet something felt off. The air inside was heavy, like a presence lingered in every shadow. My new housemates were strangers at first, but we would soon be bound by something far darker than friendship. It started with small things. Footsteps creaking across the hardwood floors at night, doors slowly opening on their own. But then came the breakups. Every single person in that house lost their relationship. Sudden, inexplicable endings. Healthy, happy couples torn apart like threads snapping under unseen hands. It wasn't coincidence. It was the house. And I was beginning to understand that it wanted us isolated, vulnerable. As months passed, the house began to tighten its grip. The plumbing backed up with no explanation. Unshakable depression spread through every resident like a sickness. Friends who visited left feeling drained, haunted by nightmares they couldn't explain. And then there was my room, the only place untouched by the suffocating darkness. But even that wouldn't last. Then came the discovery. A medium, a friend of mine, entered the basement and whispered something that sent a chill through me. The children, they're so sad, so angry, so lost, you should play with them more. I didn't want to believe it, but deep down, I knew. This house held more than just memories. It held spirits too tormented to leave, and their pain was seeping into us. We couldn't ignore the truth any longer. The attic, the blood-stained walls, the claw marks on the door. Someone had been trapped here, suffering. And then we found the burned children's clothes, the old newspapers. The past screamed from the shadows. A family had been murdered here, their bodies hidden, their spirits left to rot in this place of pain. The house wasn't just haunted, it was a grave. I left after 11 months, but the house never truly left me. The stories I heard later only confirmed what I already knew. This place had witnessed horrors beyond comprehension. It was sold over and over again, each new resident unknowingly stepping into its web. Sometimes I drive by, sometimes I warn the new tenants. But I know some things are better left buried, because some houses don't forget, and some ghosts never let go. The house still stands, a monument to forgotten horror, its walls whispering secrets only the dead can hear. The new tenants move in, oblivious to the past buried beneath their feet. The floors still creak at night. The doors still open on their own. And somewhere, in the attic, where no one dares to look, something still waits, watching. Maybe it's the children, forever lost in a place that no longer belongs to them. Maybe it's something older, something darker, feeding on the misery left behind. I sometimes drive past that house, a cold shiver crawling up my spine. A part of me wants to knock on the door, to warn them. But what would I say? Would they even believe me? And then I wonder, what if the house doesn't want them to leave? What if it's still waiting for its next victims? So, if you ever find yourself drawn to an old, beautiful home with a past no one will talk about, listen to the silence. Feel the weight in the air. And whatever you do, never, ever open the attic door. Because some houses don't just remember, they hunger. They say the thin glass of a window is all that separates safety from horror. Sometimes the thing lurking in the darkness isn't a ghost or a demon, it's something far worse, something real. This is the story of a young woman who learned that the hard way, and how even now she's afraid of what might be watching. 20 years ago, in a small second-story apartment near the interstate, a young woman and her boyfriend had carved out a life together. The steady hum of traffic was her lullaby, lulling her to sleep each night. But no amount of noise could drown out the unease that crept in when she was alone. There was an attic hatch inside the closet of their bedroom. An attic she was convinced could be accessed by someone else. No matter how many times her boyfriend assured her it was impossible, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, could come down from there. She wedged a table between the closet door and the dresser, a feeble attempt at security. But deep down, she knew that if something wanted to get in, it would. One quiet night, she sat alone on the couch, the glow of the television flickering against the walls. Her boyfriend was at band practice, leaving her to the stillness of the apartment. Then it happened. A slow, deliberate creak. Her body went rigid as the bedroom door behind her began to inch open. The hinges groaned, stretching the silence as if the apartment itself was breathing. She didn't look, she didn't hesitate. Terror gripped her body, propelling her toward the front door. She bolted outside, racing down the stairs into the cold parking lot. Only the locked safety of her car allowed her to breathe again. She waited, trembling, until her boyfriend returned. It was a dark and stormy night, the kind that rattles windows and shakes the earth. The couple had returned home late, soaked from the downpour, eager to unwind. Dressed in cozy pajamas, they curled up in front of their old television, the storm raging beyond their heavily draped sliding glass door. Lightning flashed, followed by a deafening crash of thunder. The screen flickered. The satellite signal died. Curious about the storm, she stood and yanked the curtains open. And then she saw him, a man, crouched, close to the glass. His face twisted into a grin as he stared up at her, his eyes void of anything human. He didn't move, didn't flinch, just watched, just grinned. Her scream pierced the air, primal and raw. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Her boyfriend later told her that in her terror, she had gasped out words. "It's so horrible," though she had no memory of it. Her boyfriend leapt from his chair, ripping back the curtains fully. The moment the stranger saw him, the grin faded. The man moved, fast. In an inhuman display of agility, he leapt onto the balcony railing and vanished into the night below. The woman fumbled for the phone, her hands shaking as she dialed 911. Her boyfriend bolted down the stairs in pursuit. The police arrived within seconds. Flashing lights painted the apartment complex in red and blue. Officers spread out, and in mere moments they had him. Cuffed, caught. The nightmare had a face now, a name. He was a serial peeper. A man who stalked women in the dead of night, whispering to his friends about the thrill, about how they should join him. She wasn't harmed, not physically, but some wounds don't leave scars, they leave shadows. For weeks, she couldn't sleep without the lights on. Every lamp, every bulb in the apartment burned through the night, chasing away the darkness that threatened to swallow her whole. But sleep rarely came. Eventually, the fear became too much. They moved. They got a Rottweiler, something with sharp teeth and an unshakable loyalty, something to keep her safe. There was no follow-up, no trial, no closure. The man vanished into the system, and she never learned what became of him. But the terror remained, lingering just beyond the veil of memory. And even now, on cold, stormy nights, she never pulls back the curtains. Because she knows sometimes something is watching. Before you pull back the curtains on a dark, stormy night, ask yourself, do you really want to see what's on the other side? Because sometimes it's already looking back at you.